Hi, I'm astrologer and life coach Penny Dix. Welcome to tonight's live stream, Virgos Are in the House on Facebook. So tonight I am looking at the full moon in Virgo, which is coming up on Tuesday, the 7th of March. Now, I'm just wondering, and I'm going to ask you how you're feeling, because this is quite an interesting moon. It could bring up a sense or a feeling of anxiety or dis-ease in some way. This is partly because Neptune, that is the planet of illusion, deception, of the intuition, Neptune is conjunct the Sun, therefore it is opposite the moon in Virgo. So this can create a sense of like something's coming, something's going to happen, but I'm not quite sure what it is kind of feeling. Now, Mercury, our planet of communication, is also conjunct the Sun in Pisces. So you've got this kind of wide conjunction between Mercury, our planet of communication, the Sun, and Neptune in Pisces. Now, obviously, the Sun is opposite the moon in Virgo. So let's look at how the moon in Virgo is going to feel, because Virgo, of course, is the house of service. It's also the house of health. It's the house of, or the sign of routine and our day-to-day activities. You know, Virgos are well known for paying attention to the small things that some of us kind of Taurians or Leos will sort of overlook. So the moon in Virgo is more prone to a little bit of anxiety. So there may be an element of anxiety around this particular full moon. And because Mercury is in Pisces, this can kind of bring in that element of distorted thinking. Because remember, Pisces has no boundaries. And Pisces is kind of, it's just flowing everywhere. So that what can happen is that Mercury can bring in that sense of not seeing things clearly or thinking things through clearly with this kind of energy. Now, there is a T-square that looks like this, and that's between Mars, excuse me, our planet of energy, action, anger, fighting. Mars, still in Gemini, is on the ascendant of this chart, of this event chart. So Mars is very significant. It's as if with the energy of this full moon, there is a real push from Mars to say, get rid of, close down, finish anything that does not serve you. Because, as I said, Virgo, where the full moon is about the house of service. It's the sign of service. And a T-square, which means that Mars is squaring not only the Sun and Neptune in Pisces, but also the full moon in Virgo. Mars is bringing a tension of anger, aggression. Things might get closed dramatically. Things might end suddenly and, you know, with kind of sort of like, oh, didn't see that coming. Now, the interesting thing is that Uranus, my big outer boy Uranus, who of course is our planet of surprise, the unexpected, freedom, is actually making a very gentle, what's known as a sextile to the Sun. Now, that's helpful. So in some ways, this is kind of diluting some of that harsher Mars energy that we're getting in this square. And Uranus, in turn, is actually making a trine, which is another really helpful aspect to the full moon. So what might end that seems bad on the surface or when we first look at it might unexpectedly turn out to be a blessing in disguise. That's what I feel Uranus is bringing, that kind of gift in of this energy. I think that could be super helpful for this full moon. So I think one of the things that is important to be aware of with this full moon energy is what we say and how we say it to others. Uranus is in the 11th house. That can be the kind of community at large or our wider circle of friends. Just be mindful of how you deal with subjects that come up, because we've got a lot of quite tricky energy in Aries, because Jupiter is basically already conjunct Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. Jupiter in Aries is expanding everything and anything. And if there are wounds that need to be healed, or if there are metaphorical abscesses that need to be lanced, if the poison needs to come out of particular situations, say in a relationship, if truth has to be found, then Jupiter is going to expand that. So this is very much a full moon about taking charge of what's going on. Don't let that Mars energy get you carried away. Don't react. I mean, I often say that we have to respond to situations and not react. And there is very much a sense of this, because this is a full moon about communication. Remember, Mercury is a co-ruler of Virgo, where the full moon is. Chiron, the wounded healer, is the other ruler of Virgo, because it's about healing. And with Jupiter, Chiron and Venus all widely conjunct in Aries, there is something here about the need to heal relationships. And that is through good communication. So that's one side of what I feel is going on with this full moon. And just for you to know that I've got my full in-depth look at the full moon on my YouTube channel. And in that particular video, I do go through each individual sign. So you can check out where in your particular chart this full moon energy is being activated. But I also want to talk about another incredibly significant event, astrological event, that is happening on Tuesday, March the 7th. And that's about my big outer boy, my wonderful planet of rules and restrictions, Saturn. Saturn finally, a few hours after the full moon, leaves Aquarius and finally moves into Pisces for the next approximately 3 years. Now, how is this going to play out? So the symbolism of the fact that not only do we have the full moon in Virgo on the 7th, but we also have Saturn's long-awaited move into Pisces is huge. This is really a big, important day. And whatever you kind of experience around this energy, so that can be in the few days leading up to the full moon and the few days beyond the full moon, just bear in mind that we've got this energy of Saturn moving into a sign that has no boundaries, a sign that is about feeling and emotion, a sign that is about imagination, a sign that is also about deception and lies, but it's also about seeking our inner truth. Now, Saturn's move into Pisces is in many ways an opportunity to put some kind of structure into your thinking about how you proceed forward, how you look after you, on an inner level. Because we've got to remember that this Mars in Gemini, which is making this, as I said, T-square to the sun and the moon, is really stirring your feelings up on an inner level. So are you going to allow that to win, that kind of fierce, reactive part of you? You're going to allow that to win? Or are you going to take some of Saturn's strength, timing, stability, and security to put some boundaries on your feelings and emotions, to put them into some kind of context, so that whatever is happening for you around the energy of this full moon, I think it's really important to kind of take a step back and actually just bear in mind this full moon is happening at the same time as Saturn's move into Pisces. And this is just the first of huge energy that is changing this month. Because on the 23rd, Pluto, our planet of power, of change, of transformation, will finally move into the sign of Aquarius. March is a massively important month. So we've got this full moon on Tuesday. A few hours later, Saturn moves into Pisces. That is huge. And then we have the spring equinox on the 20th of March, followed by a new moon in Aries at the 0 degree on the 21st. 2 days later, the 23rd, is when Pluto moves into Aquarius. I'm going to be doing separate videos about all of these particular energies. And I think that with regard to this full moon, I just think you need to take a step back and breathe. Look at healing you and your relationship with you before you start to try and make everybody else better. Because often the sign of Virgo kind of rushes off and wants to help everybody and get everybody else's life sorted. And they forget to pay attention to themselves. So what I'm suggesting with this full moon is that actually you look at you first, because, you know, as they say, we can't pour from an empty vessel. And so you really do need to put yourself first at the moment and to actually take some time out. Use that Saturn energy to slow down. Slow down your emotions. Slow down your thinking. Slow down your imagination. Try and separate out what is paranoia, which we can get from Mercury in Pisces, especially because it's opposite this full moon. So try and separate out what is paranoia. Search for the evidence of whatever it is you're thinking. If your thinking doesn't really have any evidence, then most probably it is just what it is. It's just a paranoid feeling, paranoid thought. So on that note, I'm going to bring this full moon event to a close. And thank you so much for coming to watch this video, which is hosted, as usual, by my lovely hosts, Gozo in the House. Do check out their online digital directory. They have wonderful content and a wonderful hub to be able to actually find out what's going on in Gozo, where it's all happening, and where you need to be to see the action. That Mars in Gemini, that's what we want. So on that note, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.